My girlfriend's family sneered, "He's practically a parasite living off our daughter," while I quietly paid for their dinner. I said, "You're right," signed one more document on an 18-min ordeal. Weeks later, they finally discovered why their payroll never failed. I need to get this off my chest because I'm losing my mind over here. And honestly, I don't know if I'm handling this right or if I'm being a complete idiot. So I met Lyra at an industry conference last year. She works in marketing for her family's manufacturing company, and we just clicked immediately. Smart, funny, ambitious, everything I was looking for. When people asked what I did, I kept it vague. Industrial automation consulting. Which isn't technically a lie, but it's not the whole truth either. The whole truth is that I'm the CEO of Keaton Industries. We do industrial automation solutions, about 400 employees, decent revenue. I built it from basically nothing after aging out of foster care. No family money, no connections, just worked my ass off through community college, then state school, then started a tech consulting firm that pivoted into manufacturing solutions. The American dream and all that. But here's the thing. I learned early that leading with money brings out weird shit in people. Gold diggers, sure, but also this immediate assumption that everything's easy for you, that you haven't earned what you have. I wanted Lyra to know me, not my bank account. For the first 4 months, everything was perfect. We'd meet for coffee, go to movies, normal relationship stuff. She'd occasionally mention her family, but nothing major. Then she started talking about me meeting them, and I figured, why not? I love this woman. Her family's important to her. That's where everything went sideways. Her dad, Stellan, owns Ellis Manufacturing, small outfit, maybe 60 employees, does custom metal fabrication. The moment I walked into their house, I could feel the judgment. My Honda Accord, I like reliable cars. My rental apartment, I sold my house last year, haven't found one I like yet. My jeans and button-down instead of a suit. Dinner was an interrogation disguised as conversation. So what's your 5-year plan? Have you thought about real estate investment? What kind of retirement accounts are you building? Meanwhile, Lyra's brother-in-law Cassian, this guy works as sales director at Ellis, keeps making these little comments. Must be nice not having a real job. Consulting, huh? So basically freelancing. I tried to play it off, answered their questions honestly without getting into specifics. Yes, I have retirement savings. Yes, I'm financially stable. No, I don't own property right now. Each answer seemed to disappoint them more. The worst part? Lyra just sat there. Didn't defend me, didn't redirect the conversation, just let her family treat me like I was some deadbeat she'd dragged home. Over the next few months, it got worse. Every family gathering became an opportunity for them to remind me I wasn't good enough. They'd suggest expensive restaurants for celebrations, then sit in awkward silence when the check came until I picked it up. $800 for Lyra's birthday dinner. $500 for some family gift fund where everyone else contributed $100. The breaking point was 3 weeks ago. We're at Sunday dinner, and Lyra mentions her car's been making weird noises. Stellan immediately jumps in. Well, if your boyfriend had a stable career, maybe he could help with that. Then Cassian, talking to his wife but loud enough for the whole table. He's practically living off her at this point. I started to say something, but Lyra cut me off with this look. Later, when I brought it up, she said, "Just ignore them. They'll come around eventually." But here's the kicker, and why I'm posting this now. Last week, I found out Ellis Manufacturing is in serious financial trouble. They've missed payroll twice this year, desperately need an investor, and they're bleeding money. I only know this because my company's M&A team has been evaluating them as a potential acquisition target for months. Complete coincidence. They've been on our radar since before I met Lyra, so while they're calling me a parasite, sitting at their dinner table eating food I paid for, their company is literally dying. And my company, the one they don't know I own, is probably their only realistic lifeline. Lyra's birthday party is next weekend. Her family's hosting it at their house, and they've already made comments about chipping in for costs, with Cassian texting the group chat asking who's covering what, and hoping no one feels uncomfortable about contributing. I offered to handle the catering. $1,200, which they accepted without a thank you. I've been carrying around this letter of intent in my car for 2 weeks. Board approved an acquisition offer, 18 million, fair market value, retention packages for employees. I keep thinking about sliding it across the table during gift opening time. Maybe that makes me petty. Maybe I should just tell Lyra the truth and let her handle her family. But honestly, I don't think she would. She's never stood up for me once in 6 months of this shit. Not once. The worst part is, I actually like some of them individually. Stellan's not a bad guy, just protective of his daughter in a misguided way. Lyra's sister Serafina occasionally gives me these sympathetic looks, like she knows her husband's being a dick. Even Lyra's mom isn't malicious, just classist in that unconscious way some people are. But I'm tired. I'm tired of being treated like charity case by people whose company I could buy with pocket change. I'm tired of my girlfriend watching it happen and asking me to just take it. So yeah, next weekend should be interesting. I'll update after the party, assuming I still have a relationship. Edit. Getting a lot of comments about why I hid my career in the first place. Look, when you grow up with nothing, you learn to read people. The number of times someone's whole demeanor changes when they find out you have money. It's depressing. I wanted Lyra to fall for me, not my bank account. Joke's on me, I guess. Edit 2. For those asking about the acquisition, yes, it's been in the works since before I met Lyra. My team evaluates dozens of companies each quarter. Ellis Manufacturing showed up on our list because they're exactly the kind of distressed asset we look for. The personal connection was pure coincidence. Update 1. 2 days since the party. Still processing everything. So I did it. Sort of. Not exactly how I planned, but close enough that I'm sitting here wondering if I'm the asshole or if I finally grew a spine. The party was supposed to be casual, backyard BBQ, maybe 30 people, mostly family, and some of Ellis Manufacturing's employees. Lyra's been excited about it for weeks, which made what happened even more surreal. I showed up early to help set up, and immediately Cassian starts his usual shit. Introduces me to people as Lyra's friend, with this pause that makes it clear he thinks I'm not boyfriend material. Mira, Lyra's mom, keeps making comments about how sweet it is that I could make it work to be there. Like I had to rearrange my food stamp schedule or something. The catering I arranged was perfect. Local BBQ place, everything Lyra wanted. Did they thank me? Stellan made one comment about how it was decent food for the price. The price they didn't pay. But what really got me was overhearing Stellan talking to one of his business associates by the fence. The guy's asking about the company's financial situation, and Stellan's being cagey but basically admits they're desperate for an investor. These tech guys don't understand manufacturing, he says. They'd just gut us for parts. I'm standing there thinking, you don't understand anything about me or what I do, but you're comfortable taking my money and treating me like garbage. Gift time comes around, and everyone's gathered in the living room. Cassian gives Lyra this expensive designer bag, $400. He makes sure everyone knows. Serafina gives a spa package. Parents give jewelry that looks suspiciously like it came from their store's insurance claim last year. Then it's my turn. I pull out this simple white envelope and hand it to Lyra. She opens it, reads for a second, then her face goes completely pale. She looks at me, then at the letter, then back at me. "What is this?" she asks, but her voice is weird. "Read it out loud," I say, which probably sounds more ominous than I meant. She clears her throat. Letter of intent for the acquisition of Ellis Manufacturing by Keaton Industries. Proposed purchase price, $18 million. Contingent on due diligence and board approval, which has been granted pending final signatures. The room goes dead quiet. You could hear a pin drop. Stellan grabs the letter from her hands. "What the hell is this? Some kind of joke?" "It's not a joke," I say. "My company's been evaluating yours for 3 months. The board approved the offer last week." Cassian, who's been standing there with his mouth open, finally finds his voice. "Your company? You're a goddamn consultant." "I'm the CEO," I say, calm as I can manage. "Keaton Industries. Founded it 8 years ago. The consulting work I mentioned? Board meetings, strategy sessions, investor calls. That kind of consulting." Now everyone's staring. Some of the Ellis employees at the party are putting 2 and 2 together, realizing their CEO's daughter's boyfriend is about to become their boss. Mira is the first to speak. "Why would you lie to us?" "I didn't lie. You never asked what company I worked for. You just assumed I was barely making ends meet because I drive a Honda and don't wear suits to family dinner." Stellan's getting red in the face. "This is manipulation. You've been infiltrating my family. I met your daughter at a conference. I fell in love. The fact that your company ended up on our acquisition list was pure coincidence. We evaluate hundreds of companies each quarter." Then Lyra finally finds her voice, and she's pissed. Not at her family. At me. "You let them treat you like that? For months? Why didn't you tell me? Would it have mattered?" I ask. "Would you have defended me more if you knew I was rich?" She starts to answer, then stops, because we both know the answer. "That's not fair," she says finally. "You never defended me. Not once. Not when Cassian called me a parasite. Not when your family treated me like a charity case. You told me to ignore it. But you ignored it too." The party's completely derailed now. Half the guests are uncomfortable and trying to leave. The other half are too fascinated to move. Cassian's still stuck on the money thing. "So what? You've been slumming it with us? Getting your kicks pretending to be poor?" "I've been trying to be part of a family," I say, and my voice cracks a little. "I grew up in foster care. I don't have parents or siblings or Sunday dinners. I thought maybe I could earn my way into yours." That shuts him up for a second. Stellan demands a private conversation, but I'm done. I tell them the offer is real, it expires in 30 days, and their creditors won't wait longer than that. Then I head for the door. Lyra follows me outside. "We need to talk about this." "Do we?" I ask, because I think we just did. The drive home was the longest 20 minutes of my life. Not because I regretted what I did, but because I finally understood that I'd been fighting for something that was never going to happen. They were never going to accept me, and Lyra was never going to fight for me. I'll update again when I know what happens with the company. Right now, I just need to figure out if I'm relieved or heartbroken. Maybe both. Edit. Yes, the acquisition offer is legitimate. No, I'm not doing it out of spite. Ellis Manufacturing employs 62 people with families and mortgages. The offer is fair market value based on assets and contracts, not some lowball revenge scheme. Edit 2. A lot of people asking why I didn't just tell Lyra privately first. Honestly, because I knew she'd ask me to keep hiding it to keep the peace. She'd proven that her comfort mattered more than my dignity. Update 2. 3 weeks since the birthday party revelation. This is messier than I expected, so the acquisition is moving forward, but not without drama. Stellan initially tried to refuse out of pride, which lasted exactly until his accountant reminded him they've got creditors breathing down their necks and payroll due in 2 weeks. Reality has a way of cutting through wounded ego. The personal stuff, though. That's where it gets complicated. Lyra and I have talked exactly twice since the party. The first time, she alternated between anger, "You deceived us," and defensiveness. My family was just being protective. What she couldn't do was apologize. Not for letting them treat me like shit. Not for never standing up for me. Not for anything. "I was trying to keep the peace," she said. "You kept the peace at my expense," I told her. "That's not partnership." The second conversation happened when she showed up at my office, which, yes, has my name on the building. She seemed shocked by that, like she still couldn't process that I wasn't the struggling consultant she thought I was. "I want to work through this," she said. "Work through what? You showed me who you are. When things got uncomfortable, you chose your family's comfort over my dignity. That's not something you work through. That's just who you are." She left crying, and I felt like complete shit. But feeling bad about hurting someone doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. The family dynamics have shifted in weird ways. Mira keeps sending these awkward emails about how they always liked me, and there must have been some misunderstanding. Serafina, Lyra's sister, sent a handwritten apology note, the only family member with enough self-awareness to acknowledge what happened. Cassian's been the most interesting case study. He initially doubled down, insisting I was the manipulator, that I'd played games with them. But when the acquisition paperwork made it clear he'd be reporting to a Keaton Industries management structure, his tune changed fast. Nothing like job security to adjust your attitude. Here's where it gets ethically complicated. I'm not a vindictive person. The acquisition made business sense before I knew any of these people, and it makes business sense now. But I'm also human, and I'd be lying if I said there wasn't some satisfaction in watching Cassian realize he'd been talking shit about his new boss for 6 months. The deal terms are fair. Stellan stays on as president but reports to our operations team. All employees keep their jobs. We needed their institutional knowledge anyway. Cassian gets to keep his sales director role, but with quarterly performance reviews. Not punishment, just the kind of oversight he should have had all along. From a business perspective, it's clean. From a personal perspective, it's a confusing mess. My CFO, Riven, pulled me aside last week. You sure you're not letting personal shit compromise your judgment? Valid question. The answer is no, but it took some honest self-reflection to be sure. We ran the numbers 3 different ways. Ellis Manufacturing was a good acquisition target regardless of my relationship with Lyra. The fact that it also solved their financial crisis. That's just how business works sometimes. What I didn't expect was how it would feel. There's no satisfaction in winning when you never wanted to be in competition in the first place. I didn't want to be their boss. I wanted to be their family. The hardest part is that they're not villains. Stellan's a decent man who built something from nothing, just like I did. He's protective of his daughter and worried about his legacy. Mira wants her kids to be happy and secure. Even Cassian, for all his insecurity and petty comments, loves his wife and works hard. They're just people with blind spots and prejudices they've never been forced to examine, and I'm just a guy who got tired of being the target of those blind spots. 3 days ago, one of the Ellis employees, a warehouse supervisor named Pete, approached me during the final walkthrough. "Don't know what your personal situation is," he said, "but thanks for saving our jobs. My wife just had surgery, and we needed that insurance to keep going." That put everything in perspective. Maybe the point wasn't justice or revenge or proving anything. Maybe it was just doing the right thing, even when it's complicated. The acquisition closes next Friday. Lyra's moving back in with her parents temporarily while she figures things out. We haven't spoken since that office conversation. I'm not sure how I feel about any of it yet. Ask me again in 6 months. Edit. For people asking about non-compete clauses or Lyra's job security, she's staying with the company. Her job performance was never the issue, and punishing her professionally for our personal relationship would be both illegal and shitty. Eat it too. Someone asked if I regret how I handled the reveal. Honestly, I regret staying quiet for so long. I regret thinking I could earn their respect by being their personal ATM. I don't regret walking away. Final update. It's been 4 months since the acquisition closed. Time for some perspective. Ellis Manufacturing is doing fine under Keaton management. Better than fine, actually. We've streamlined their operations, invested in some new equipment, and they're profitable for the first time in 18 months. Turns out when you're not hemorrhaging money on bad contracts and outdated processes, manufacturing can actually work. Stellan struggled with reporting to what used to be his daughter's boyfriend's company, but he's professional about it. His pride took a hit, but he's good at his job, and I respect that. We keep interactions minimal. I send other executives to handle most meetings there. Cassian's been the most interesting development. Fear motivated him in ways encouragement never did. His sales numbers are up 30%. He's actually pleasant to the other employees now, and he's stopped talking shit about people behind their backs. Funny how accountability changes behavior. But this isn't a story about business success. It's about what I learned about myself. I started therapy in January, not because of Lyra or her family, but because I realized I'd been carrying around this orphan mentality my entire adult life, this idea that I had to earn my place at every table, that acceptance was something to be bought rather than freely given. "You were trying to purchase family membership," my therapist said. "But families don't work on subscription models." That hit harder than it should have. I've been more open about my career with new people I meet. No more vague, consulting answers. If someone has a problem with success I've earned, that tells me what I need to know about them up front. I'm dating casually, nothing serious. Met someone a few weeks ago who, when I mentioned I owned a company, said, "That's cool. What's your favorite pizza topping?" and moved on to actually getting to know me. That's what normal looks like, apparently. Lyra's been dating an accountant from her social circle for about 2 months now. Heard through mutual industry connections. I hope she's happy. I genuinely do. She wasn't a villain in this story, just someone who chose comfort over courage when it mattered. Her mom still emails occasionally about misunderstandings and how I should come to family dinners. I don't respond, not out of anger, just because there's nothing to say. We all know what happened. Serafina's the only one I have any contact with. She sends a card every few months. Nothing dramatic, just checking in. She gets it in a way the others don't. Maybe because she's been watching Cassian's behavior from the inside for years. The most unexpected moment came last month. That warehouse supervisor, Pete, saw me during a facility visit and pulled me aside again. "Don't know if anyone's told you this," he said, "but morale's better now than it's been in years. People feel secure. They're not worried about layoffs or missing paychecks. Whatever personal stuff went down, you did right by us." That conversation has stuck with me more than all the family drama combined. 62 families have stable income because of a business decision I made. That matters more than whether Stellan thinks I'm worthy of his daughter. Someone asked me recently if I regret how everything ended. I regret staying quiet for so long. I regret thinking I could earn their respect by being their personal ATM. I regret the orphan mentality that made me tolerate disrespect because I was so desperate for belonging. I don't regret walking away. I don't regret the acquisition. It was the right business decision that happened to solve their financial problems. I don't regret finally standing up for myself, even if the timing was dramatic. The truth is, Lyra and I were always going to end. Her family wasn't cartoon evil. They were just people with classist assumptions and no self-awareness. And I was someone desperate enough for family that I accepted crumbs for months, thinking eventually they'd give me the whole meal. Real power isn't reminding people you have it. It's not needing to use it to feel respected. Real partnership means defending each other when it's uncomfortable, not asking one person to absorb all the discomfort to keep things smooth. The business acquisition was always going to happen. The relationship was always going to end. The only question was when I'd respect myself enough to stop waiting for them to respect me first. I'm good with how it turned out. Better than good, actually. I learned I'd rather be alone than tolerated. I learned that family isn't something you buy your way into. It's something you choose and get chosen for, freely. And I learned that sometimes doing the right thing for the wrong reasons still counts as doing the right thing. That's enough for me. Edit. Thanks for following this saga, everyone. Going to step away from this account now. Time to focus on the life I'm building instead of the one I thought I wanted. Final edit. One last thing someone pointed out in messages. I never actually ruined them. I saved their company and lost their daughter. Turns out those were the same action, because she couldn't love someone she didn't respect, and they couldn't respect someone they saw as beneath them. The irony is, I was always above them. I just wanted to be beside them.